When I look at my first picture book, I'm not ashamed or embarrassed. I'm proud because it's what got me started, but there is so much that I would do differently. Hey guys, my name is Ariel. I am a picture book writer, illustrator, and instructor. I'm based in the Washington, D.C. region, and in the past few weeks, it had been pretty rainy here. We had a pocket of sun over the weekend, so we spent the time outdoors, went on 2 to 3 walks or hikes a day. We tested out our new hiking backpack, which was a lot of fun. I'm also, for the first time ever, taking an art class. I'm a self-taught illustrator and I work with digital media, so my iPad and Procreate, and I'm completely self-taught. I've never taken an art class before. And digital art, honestly, to me was the least mess artwork that I could produce. I had enough mess with 2 little boys in the house. Digital art, I could just keep it in one spot and no pencils, acrylics, paint, spills, none of that. Also, it was easy to kind of pick up and take with me wherever I went. So if it was waiting in the car during an appointment or a carpool or while they napped, digital art was just easy. So I'm looking forward to this class because sometimes working with a new medium or in a new environment just brings new ideas and a new perspective. So I went to the art store for the first time ever with my kiddos and stocked up on art supplies. So I'm looking forward to that. But in today's video, I actually don't want to talk about illustrating, I want to talk about writing. And my first picture book, what are 3 things that I would do differently today? When I look at my first picture book, I'm not ashamed or embarrassed. I'm proud because it's what got me started, but there is so much that I would do differently. In the past 7 to 8 years, I've taken writing courses. I've contributed to 4 other picture books, either watching the writing process from afar, illustrating it, and understanding that picture books, even the words, they have a rhythm and a cadence and a pace, and readers have discernment. They read lots of books, they see lots of movies, even music. They have an expectation of what they are taking in. And that goes to say even more so for picture books, where it's not just children looking at them, adults are looking at them. And I call them the gatekeepers. Those adults can be parents, teachers, librarians, caregivers, etc. So what are 3 things that I would do differently if I were to write that first picture book today? Number 1, I would get a professional editor for it. And it doesn't even have to be a conceptual editor, just honestly for grammar, punctuation, that proofread. All it takes is one mistake in your book to disengage a reader or to have your book completely disregarded or written off. Let me give you an example. I purchased a self-help book from this business person that I greatly admire. And in the book, they were referencing a famous New York Times study or something like that. But instead of citing it correctly, whether that's APA, Chicago Manual of Style, doing something professionally, they just simply copy and pasted the link, like a long URL, right there smack dab in the middle of the paragraph. And okay, to be fair, I work in editing as my day job, so I'm a little bit critical of this kind of stuff. At the same time, as a reader, actually it threw me for a loop. The book itself was so professional, and then to see this really big glaring error kind of lowered my opinion of the book, the writer, and the publishing team, to be honest. All it takes is one error for an adult to disregard your book and to see it as less than. And honestly, with readers, it's really tough when you're a self-published or independently published author because you are competing with some big names, big publishing houses, and it's just another knock at you for why you didn't get published by a big one. So that's why I would hire a professional editor to give it that professional polish. Number 2, pacing. Everything has a pace or a cadence. Even the songs you listen to have a rhythm and a structure to them. Verse, chorus, the log/tagline, whatever. There's a rhythm and a pace to a movie. When you go and see a movie and it's not following that pace, you feel a bit disappointed and you might say that movie feels slow or there's too much dialogue. You might complain because you know as a viewer that it's not following the pace of a movie. It's the same with your book, and even more important with picture books. The average picture book is 32 pages, which means you only have 32 pages to hit a rhythm and cadence to your story. When I was in high school, I learned about a 3-plot structure: the beginning, the middle, the end. And it's almost like a roller coaster ride: the beginning, the middle, the end. That beginning might be 2 to 3 spreads, like what, 4 to 6 pages? The middle, where you're building the action, is the chunk of the story. And you might go through 3 to 4 challenges until you get to the peak, climax, crescendo challenge, right? So that roller coaster might look like challenge number 1, challenge number 2, challenge number 3, where they finally are learning their lesson or achieving their goal or just becoming a better human, self-development. And then the end, another 2 to 3 spreads at most. What I see a lot is that instead of being, 3 or 4 spreads with the introduction, the beginning, you draw it out and you spend a lot of time building the characters, building the scenes, not enough time in the challenges, and then kind of rushed in the end, that it's just a 1-page resolution. So I would work on pacing. I definitely, when I go back and read that first story, I as a reader sense it off. So I can only imagine how readers at that time must have felt too. It's, again, the difference between a self-published book and a professional polished book. Getting that rhythm and pace right. Lastly, number 3 would be pagination. Now, I'm an illustrator, so I do look at my writing with page turns in mind. Keep in mind that readers are children, so the book experience is actually a tactile experience. When they turn the page, it's almost like a new scene in a movie. They're expecting a new sequence in the action, or like a comic strip where it is broken down by scenes. And that's not how it is for adult readers who are just reading a novel words only. You as a writer might not be thinking about your story in terms of page turns and paginations for your picture book. But when you actually go and look through your story, does a page turn fit naturally in the sequence of events, action, narrative that you have going on? Or are you going to have a really chunky paragraph on one page followed by a one-liner on the other page? Go through your picture book and try to get a flow and sense of pagination. Ultimately, this is just going to help improve your pacing, which was point number 1, the pace of the story. As the writer, you're not expected to finish and finalize the pagination. Ultimately, that's kind of going to be up to your illustrator and how they're going to illustrate the books and the sequences. But you do want to help make it as natural as possible, and that does have a lot to do with your writing. So those are the 3 things that I would improve with my first book. I would change about my first book. Again, everybody has to start somewhere, and when a baby starts walking, you're not making fun of them or judging their first steps. You expect them to improve as they do more. So that's how I see my writing. In that first picture book, very much an experiment, very much a sandbox to learn, grow, and improve, which is what I've done within 7 years. And it's what I'm going to do going forward. If I write any more picture books, which I have, and manuscripts, those are the 3 things that I am 100% going to focus on: pacing, editing, pagination. Alrighty, you guys, if you thought this was helpful, go ahead, like, subscribe, comment, hit that little bell to get notifications. If you want to learn more about me, visit my website, arielmendez.com, where you can get a free workshop on working with freelancers, which is you're going to be doing a lot of if you're self-publishing. Okay, you guys, until next time, bye. Sorry, I have an itch on my nose. Oh, it's like sometimes there's dog hair because I have a dog and it's just like everywhere. Oh.